This might be a good one.
That needs to recharge. That needs to recharge. That needs to recharge. Give it more time.
Jugger. One of these must be a juggernaut. Should have died a lot faster than that.
That needs to recharge.
And it was 2 elite packs. Oh, 3.
Give it more time. Give it more time. My insight grows. Your Give it more time. I must wait. I must wait. Do not fear.
I feel like a barbarian. Freaking whirlwind of death. Except I don't have to hold down the whirlwind button anymore.
Your death nears. That needs to recharge. Give it more time. You will make a fine corpse. I must wait. That needs to recharge.
Juggernaut. Makes them immune to stuns and stuff so they die slower. We'll get to that later.
I must
Some of these you might, harder difficulties probably run from.
give it more time. Your death nears. Give it more time. That needs to recharge.
You want to be casting Decrepify quite a bit too, because it reduces their damage, slows them down, and makes your hits able to stun them, which will trigger your bonus damage more often.
The Rift God has arrived.
That needs to recharge. That needs to recharge. Give it more time. Decay and rot. I must wait. That needs to recharge. Give it more time. That needs to recharge. You'll make a fine corpse. I must wait. That needs to recharge.
That's it.
I am returning.
Get out of here. Not really good run on drops, but I like those runs where it's nice and open like that. This build doesn't do too well on sparse areas. I don't think I have a Jordan, so Storm of Jordan, I'll keep that. Okay, Spencer Paragon. So this build, ideally, well, you're gonna need the Nereus set. Royal Ring of Grandeur. It's kind of not the easiest to put together early on in the season, but of course they give you the Rathma set for the season. So, but if you can get together an Inarius set, which was the hardest set for me to find for some reason, I guess just unlucky. But you're gonna want everything but the helmet. And there's some swappability in here. Like for a while I had to use the helmet and I didn't use the gloves, but you have to tinker and, you know, figure out what you can build. Ideally you'd have the Blind Faith with 40% chance. And mine's like the lowest. And you've seen I still wiped through there pretty good. So I'm still looking for one of those right now. And you're going to want a health gem in there. Shoulders, you're pretty much just stacking health and survival on that. Area damage doesn't seem to do anything on this build. This one, not great on my critical hit damage, so I'd like to have that higher, but Antvit, critical hit, chance and damage. Chest, more survival. Pants, more survival. Boots, more survival. Although these ones, I think, they're generate, you could maybe go for all resist or something like that, but these are the best I got for now. And then belt, survival, Dantes. That's why you want to be casting Decrepify so much, because on top of the Decrepify reducing their damage by 30%, and then you still get another up to 50% off this belt for everybody with it on them. Oh no, it's just if there's even one enemy on screen that has it on them, then you get 46% more or 50% more. So then your bracers, this one you could my resist all elements could probably be physical damage, but it's still not bad for survival, as you saw. Ring, convention of elements, hopefully you'd have a 200%er, not a great one again. And then critical hit damage, critical hit chance, and then same thing. I need to get rid of area damage on this ring, but it's chance is your most important thing. That's what triggers your pain enhancer gem here. Critical hits cause the enemy to bleed, so you want at least 50% before you start messing with any other stats. And then 50% crit chance, and then Bane of the Trapped. Because as you've seen the small area around you of bones, it's the perfect size for Bane of the Trapped to trigger it. And then Wisdom of Kalan. Not the best roll on it, but it does have my critical hit chance. But once again, I'd like to have some critical hit damage on there. And maybe some physical damage too to replace the intelligence, I'm not sure. And then Gem of Efficacious Toxin. This Efficacious Toxin one I'm not too sure on. You could swap that for other things like Bane of the Powerful or Esoteric Austeration, or I was thinking about trying a Stricken, because the Rift Guardians are the ones that take the longest to kill, and you have the most chance to get killed by them. You're not collecting corpses or anything like that while you're fighting them, and the fight can drag on a bit. You could also possibly do Boon of the Hoarder, and a gold wrap belt to get you some, you know, you'd be super tanky, except for when you get up to the Rift Guardian, then he's not dropping gold, so you'd lose all that. So it's just kind of more just stacking dots, because you get the dots from the Pain Enhancer, you get the dots from this, and then just the damage you have from your Bone Storm too. But then let's go to skills. Left. This is so that you can move around without accidentally stopping a lot. You put your frailty, aura of frailty here, or if you want to move around like I do, I put my mouse wheel to force move, and then I unlock. I don't know if you have a mouse that has it. I have the ability to unlock my mouse wheel so it just spins. So I just spin that, and it keeps me moving without running, you know, stopping too much, because you want to keep moving all the time. And then Bone Spirit, this is for elite packs and Rift Guardians. And you want the possession thing on it, so it charms them, so that counts towards your Crispin Sentence Ring. So you get 100% more damage against slowed enemies. That's your Bane of the Trapped. But if the enemy is stunned, charmed, frozen, blinded, etc., then you get triple that damage. Ideally, I'd have 100% on this. Once again, 89%, not the best, but that could be a big difference if I can find a nicer one with better stats on it. But so that charm will count towards that. So you can get a guaranteed 10 seconds of charm. So that's guaranteed 10 seconds of 300% more damage on that enemy. The hard part is aiming him, because they just kind of wander in a straight line towards. So you got to be like point blank with the enemy on top of him, and then I launch it into him, and hopefully it hits him. But so then we got to go Blood Rush. This one you can pick multiple runes, whatever you want. I'm going with to get additional charges so I can get around the field faster. You could also possibly do Potency. Increase your armor, a little more survival, but only for 2 seconds. So, let's see, Decrepify, you already saw that, but Opportunist gives a 3% movement speed increase for every enemy cursed for a maximum of 30%. So, that's another reason, and you want to cast it on big groups, you get more movement speed, but on the downside, you lose the Dizzying Curse. So I'm still going to tinker with these two and see which I like better. But 10% chance while your Bone Storm is going around to stun them, which will count towards your Crispin's Ring. But I seem to have enough things going off already that, or to, like the blinds and stuff are enough to kill most enemies on T13. And I was able to do Greater Rift 70 with everything you see right now to get my Primal Ancients unlocked just a little bit ago. So then Bone Armor, Harvest of Anguish. You also get more movement speed for each enemy hit by the bone. So I think it just basically means you get the when you have 15 stacks, then you get 15% movement speed, and you get the 15 stacks from this necklace. Wisdom of Kalan gives you an extra 5 stacks of Bone Armor, which also increases the damage the Bone Armor does. Or the Bone Storm does, I believe. And then Devour, Cannibalize, and I have this on a Numlock Autocast. Actually, I have both these on Numlock Autocast. You could get away with just putting this on Numlock Autocast, and then that's why it's just grabbing. That's another reason you don't want to be holding. You don't want anything on your left click, because every time if you're holding left click to move, your Numlock Autocast won't work. So that's another reason I use the force move with the spin wheel, because each spin of the wheel counts as a click, as you can see right here. So it's not interrupting your autocasts. See on the ground. And if I spin it really fast, see multiple on the ground. So that means it's not interrupting my autocast instacasts. But yeah, you get each corpus restores 3% health, so that's pretty nice, and essence. And the bone armor, it can suck because it can go, if you have it autocasted like I do, it can go off when you don't want it to, when there's no enemies around. But for the most part, as I'm going around the map, as long as I can hit one enemy and keep my 15 stacks up, then that's all I care about. Because sometimes I forget to refresh this and it drops. And when you lose these, not only does your damage stop, you get really squishy. So final service for when I screw up, saves your life. Unfortunately, no pets, so we don't get heals from it. So you gotta have a potion ready or something, or get away. I wish they would fix that because it's kind of discriminatory towards builds that don't use pets. None of the other ones have something like that really, or other classes, I mean. So then Dark Reaping, you can use while using a scythe. You gain 2% essence and life per kill, which isn't bad. That one you could swap for something else. I just can't really decide what I would swap it for. There's just not really anything else. Like, so many of these passives are built around pets that there's not really anything else that, I mean, you could maybe do this because we consume so many corpses that health globes would be popping up everywhere. But killing fast enough also heals you quite a bit, so I might try that for a bit. Make another video if it works really well. Then your essence, you want more essence because you get more damage from your Raylena's Shadow Hook. Every maximum point of essence increases your damage by 0.5%. And then standalone increases your armor when you have no pets by 100%. So that's more survival. And let's go to the cube. So you could have this in the cube, Raylana's. Ideally you'd have Tragouls equipped, but I don't have an ancient Tragouls. And if you were to do the Tragouls, you would want the Tragouls for the more damage from your curse. Another thing too is my Tragouls doesn't have 200% extra damage. But on top of that, you want a lost time. And what this does is gives you even more movement speed. 5% for maximum 5 stacks. So you're always doing cold damage with that bone armor or bone storm going around you, so you're getting that movement speed. So that's another reason, like if I got that back on me, I would probably get rid of the movement speed from either bone armor or Decrepify. You could possibly do dislocation, but then you change your damage to poison, so that wouldn't really work. It's really best just to leave it on cold for that one, I guess. So Decrepify would be the only thing you could change, and you could change it to like Dizzying Curse to get more stuns out, to up your damage more, and keep you alive basically. Let's see, and the last thing would be Ring of Royal Grandeur, which was that's what you need to be able to wear the hat and have the 5-piece set. Another thing, Quilocurus. I put this on because I was occasionally dying once a rift, and I just really don't like dying. But if you wanted to up your damage, you could throw a Frostburn in there. You could also throw a Requiem Carapace. So every time you consume a corpse, it gives you double the health and life, and also anything that heals you over 100% is like gives you a hot heal over time for 3 seconds, and it stacks multiple, like 3 or 4 times. You can stack that on your buff, so you'll have like 3 of those coming in. So if you went over 100% multiple times from cannibalizing or devouring or whatever, then you'd get multiple stacks of that of a hot coming in on you, so you stay like 100% all the time. But the only problem with that is that's dependent on there being corpses around. So while you're moving around the rift, it's fine. But on a sparse rift where there's not a lot of mobs, you can not as effective as Aquila. And the Aquila helps you on Rift Guardians as long as you're not overcasting bone armor or something like that. Which when you fight a Rift Guardian, you may want to turn autocast off, because it's not going to help really to devour or bone armor. Maybe some Rift Guardians that spawn enemies to devour would still work, but you got to be careful, because if you let your essence drop too low, then you're going to lose your Aquila. So then there's other things you can throw in there. You could throw in what else? Orchesian, or you could be more Orchesian here instead of Nemesis. You could also do Steward's Greaves for every time you do a Blood Rush, 50% more movement for 2 seconds, which is pretty powerful. You know, you could put the Nemesis in here and wear the Orchesian, but then you lose your Aquila. You know, there's multiple things you can do. You can even do the one belt that makes you move faster, Crom's Bulk Belt. It's really up to you how you can build it around your sets. A gold wrap, and then that one gem for the legendary gem for gold, and then, you know, so it's just what you can put together. Think outside the box. And Paragon, you're going to want movement speed until you're max, either between gear or movement speed on the Paragons. You need to get to 25. I just like taking all the movement speed off my gear and just getting my 25 out of the Paragons. Then maximum essence for more damage from that weapon, from the two-handed scythe. Then start stacking intelligence. And then for here, critical hit chance first, critical hit damage, and then you can do attack speed or cooldown reduction. I'm not sure how much attack speed affects this build. By the way, I gotta give credit to Inarius, or Zombiever. He's the one that I'm kind of following this build from, but I've tinkered from his, from what he had, because he's got a shit ton of Paragon and almost like a bunch of agents, so I had to adjust it. Then you're gonna want life, probably, or no, armor, then life, then resist all, then regen, and then price stack, life per hit, resource cost reduction, area damage, gold find, or even swap these two. None of these really affect the build too much, but bone armor does cost a little bit of essence, so, and so does Decrepify. So if you're trying to use Aquila, you might want to do resource cost reduction first, so that these don't cost quite as much. Save you 1 whole mana on each spell. Ooh. But other than that, I think that's the gist of it. For your, if you need more survival, stack more purple gems. If you feel pretty comfortable, stack more intelligence gems. Yeah. But that's about it. And thanks for watching.